Apparently, all you need to change your eye color is 20 minutes and $12,000. And we're not talking about scleral tattoos where the whites of your eyes are injected with ink. This is keratopigmentation, and the goal is to create a natural-looking change to your eye color. But what happens when things go wrong? Because of course, something went wrong. This TikTok creator, Jasmine Hill, went viral a few days ago after getting this procedure done and opening her eyes for the first time to a color that she didn't ask for. Jasmine Hill is a nurse living in Los Angeles, and she's had these really big, really dark eyes for her entire life. I personally think eyes like this are so incredibly beautiful. But for some people who have really dark eyes, they sometimes want their eyes to be more visible or they want a more unique color. So Jasmine opted for keratopigmentation, and this is sometimes referred to as cornea tattooing. And it actually doesn't change the color of your iris. Instead, it adds color to the cornea in order to conceal the color of your iris. Keratopigmentation is marketed as a safer alternative to iris implant surgery, which is significantly more invasive as it is a full-on surgery where the patient is put to sleep and an artificial silicone iris is placed to cover the natural iris. Iris implant surgery is crucial for patients who don't have a complete iris or any iris at all due to illness or injury, and it has been approved by the FDA for those cases. But of course, in our very aesthetics-driven world, this procedure is now being used for purely cosmetic purposes. In a very controversial move at the time, in 2014, the rapper T.I.'s wife and reality star Tiny Harris traveled to Africa to have iris implant surgery done to change the color of her eyes. And she had to get this done in Africa because, like I said, the US only approves this type of surgery if you absolutely need it. Tiny still has, and reportedly still loves her eye color to this day, now 10 years later. But she did get a lot of hate for getting this very risky procedure done for purely a cosmetic reason. So, while keratopigmentation may be a less invasive alternative to surgery, it still comes with its own very long list of risks. And to understand these risks, we need to get a little deeper into what exactly happens during this procedure. Firstly, the patient gets anesthetic eye drops into their eyes to help numb them. Then, the patient's head is strapped to a harness to keep them still. A device then is used to hold open the patient's eyelids and to prevent blinking. Then after all of that, they use lasers to create circular tunnels into the cornea where they then inject dye. It's hard to imagine someone willingly doing this after hearing that. So they use a robotic laser for this instead of having the doctor inject the dye because it's more accurate that way. And they probably learned that from all of the instances of scleral tattooing nightmares that have occurred over the years. So I don't know what this sounds like to you all, but to me it sounds like absolute torture. But apparently this procedure is just mildly uncomfortable for the patients. And they experience little to absolutely no pain while getting this done. But in January of this year, the American Academy of Ophthalmology issued a warning on the dangers of both of these procedures for the purposes of changing your eye color. According to Dr. Matthew Gorski, you're at risk for eye pressure issues like glaucoma and cataracts. You can have direct or indirect damage to the cornea, and you're even at risk for loss of vision and blindness with these surgeries. I am sufficiently freaked out by this procedure, but people still want to get it done, and it's kind of becoming a little bit of a trend online. Dr. Brian Boxer has amassed over 3 million followers on TikTok, where he frequently shows his clients getting keratopigmentation done. And I really don't want to criticize this man or his business or any of these clients, but a lot of these videos are very weird to me. This doctor films these people's reactions the very first time they're opening their eyes to see the new eye color that they have. And a lot of people seem like they hate it. I'm sorry, but I don't think that this looks natural. Because natural eyes have a lot of variation in color. And with these new eyes, it's kind of just like a very flat color. And it looks really unnatural to me. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. But to be fair, I think that people who start out with a dark brown eye color and then they choose the lighter brown colors tend to look the best. Especially people with darker complexions. This patient, for instance, I mean, she looked beautiful before, she looks beautiful now. It doesn't look as unnatural to me, and I think that that's the look that Jasmine was going for. Jasmine posted this video on TikTok on September 2nd, where she explains how excited she was to have maroon-colored eyes. But when she opened her eyes after the procedure was done, the color that she got was nowhere near maroon. And Jasmine was really upset about this, rightfully so. I mean, I could not imagine how shocking that was. So how did this happen? We saw the box that said maroon on it. And to be fair, it actually doesn't say maroon, it says the French word marron, which translates to brown from French. So clearly this wasn't a language barrier issue. The box said marron. And many people who saw Jasmine's original video were confused as to why she wanted brown eyes when it seemed like she already had brown eyes. And Jasmine came onto TikTok a few days later to explain the color choice.
And I know it's like, why would you go get your eye color changed just to get brown eyes? But I just personally think brown eyes are just so pretty. Another girl had got it, but with another eye doctor. I don't remember the name that it said, but it was like just a dark brown. And I'm like, okay, my eyes look kind of black. Like they're dark brown, they look black. Now, the color maroon, maroon is maroon. You Google it, it's a brownish red. And it's dark, but I'm okay with that. I'm ready to rock it.
Clearly, Jasmine just wanted a very subtle change to her eye color. And Jasmine goes on to explain that they actually didn't have the color that she wanted in stock. So the doctors had to order it, her appointment was postponed, but eventually the dye arrives and Jasmine goes to get this procedure done.
So he does one eye and he says, okay, I'm gonna let you see it. I look and I said, I did just that. I said, this is not brown. What is this? I don't know if this is gray. I don't know if this is green. I was in there crying.
So this dye comes from a French company called Biotic Phaeocia Laboratories. And Jasmine's doctor even said to Jasmine that when he opened this dye, he noticed that it wasn't brown. But he went forward with injecting this into Jasmine's eye regardless, because he said that sometimes the dye looks different in the bottle than it does in the eye. Which, I mean, maybe. And now that I think about it, that's actually really hard for me to believe. Because when I see reference images of each of these colors in people's eyes, the final result is very consistent. So how could it change when it's in the bottle versus in the eye? I don't know. That's giving me really sus vibes. So the doctor injects one eye, then stops and shows Jasmine. And obviously she was in shock because it clearly wasn't brown. So Jasmine tried to ask if they could stop and order the right color, but the doctor said that even if they do get a new color, they can't do anything about the first eye, meaning that this is permanent. So Jasmine let him do the other eye in hopes that the eyes would become more brown once they settle in. I feel like I'm more upset for Jasmine than Jasmine is upset for herself. Because despite all of this, she does reiterate that she had a very positive experience with the procedure and that the doctor was really nice. But regardless, she still went home with an eye color that she didn't want. And I'm assuming that Jasmine prepaid for this because I couldn't imagine them then asking for payment from her after giving her the wrong color eyes permanently. The only thing that's really saving the doctor is that Jasmine happens to look great with this eye color. And I feel like she got so incredibly lucky that this random eye color happened to suit her so well. But honestly, it is a really pretty color on Jasmine, and she looks great. But it's still not what she wanted, and that's important. That's important, right? Jasmine came back onto TikTok where she explained the whole name color thing, and she showed us the catalog where clearly we can see that maroon is a brown color. Initially, I was suspecting that she accidentally received Vert Emerald, but looking at this photo, I feel like that color is a lot lighter than what Jasmine eventually received. So now I'm thinking that it's likely she accidentally received Pistache instead of maroon. Also, side note, you can apparently get white, which I feel like would look very strange. But also, okay, all right, I may be putting on my conspiracy theory hat here, but if you can get white, like if white is an option, in my mind that would need to be an opaque color to cover the iris. And all of these colors look pretty opaque when they're in the eye. I don't know, I really don't believe the doctor with this whole like color changing bottle thing. Regardless, Jasmine is stuck with this eye color for life. And I guess there's nothing that can be done to change this eye color. I feel like this is a huge deal. And like I said, she is so incredibly lucky to have gotten a good color. But say she didn't. Say she accidentally got white and she looked absolutely insane. What would we be doing then? Because she would have to live her entire life like that. It could have been so much worse, but luckily it wasn't that bad because Jasmine looks great. People online are incredibly supportive of this eye color on Jasmine, which I'm sure is very comforting to hear. I feel like at the very least, Jasmine should get all of her money back, if not be compensated more for this huge mistake that this doctor's office made. What I'm assuming happened is that likely somehow the vials of dye got mixed up and she didn't get the maroon, she got one of the other ones, maybe pistache. And if that is the case, that's a huge oversight on the French company's part, and then an even bigger oversight on the doctor's part. Jasmine has not revealed which doctor she went to. I don't know that she ever will. But I did reach out to that French company and ask if they had anything to say, and they have not gotten back to me. So if they do update me, I will definitely update you. And I mean, it's very clear that I think the doctor is definitely at fault here. The benefit to the iris implant surgery, even though there are a lot of negatives with that one too, is that you can have that one reversed. So for instance, remember we talked about Tiny Harris getting this done and she still loves them? Well, her daughter Zanique actually went and did the exact same thing as her mother, but then regretted it and had it reversed a few years later. The absolute best and safest option if you would like a new eye color is to just get colored contacts. And you can get really nice colored contacts that look super natural. I would say that there's no need for people to be altering their body in this way, but honestly, who am I to say that? I just think that personally, this doesn't seem like a very safe thing to get done. And as much as I wouldn't recommend anyone go out and get scleral tattoos, I also wouldn't recommend anyone go out and get keratopigmentation or iris implant surgeries. If you just want to change the color of your eyes, it seems too risky for me. But with that, I would love to know what you think about this eye color change procedure gone wrong. Had you heard about this before you saw this video? Is this something that you might consider doing? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you've made it to the end of this video, as always, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you have, leave me this emoji in the comments so I know that you are a real one. Bye everyone.